Alright, are you ready for this? You talked me into this. Many of you sent me messages asking me to review Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal, EDT, and the Le Parfum, which is actually not a parfum, it's an eau de parfum. So I got messages from you guys asking me to review this, and I was tempted. I was very, very curious. I didn't realize Scandal came out in 2021, and then the Le Parfum came out last year, I believe. So I picked these two fragrances up in the UK at Boots Pharmacy, one of the stores there. The only thing is, I couldn't find it at a lot of places, so either sold out, just very popular. Are you guys a fan of this particular fragrance? So I'm going to tell you honestly today, and this is not going to be a scandal. Well, maybe it is, because I'm not really digging these fragrances too much, but I'm going to tell you all about it. Find out all about it coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yeah, today we're talking about Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal in EDT here in the clear bottle. And then we've got the, well, actually it's an EDP, but it's the Le Parfum in the dark bottle. You know, I find the bottles to be a little gaudy, but kind of cool. The king crown thing is kind of cool, but I think the first time I saw this was with Royal Crown. Then I saw the D&G fragrance with the crown on it, which I'm not a fan of, and now we've got the Scandal collection for men. So I kind of like them. I find them a little gaudy. I don't know. The bottles are not my favorite. They're not that original to me because it just seemed a little bulky as far as presentation goes. But what I like about the presentation is this really beautiful velvety, kind of like velvet drapes material for the boxes. So that's kind of a cool touch with the actual boxes these fragrances come in. So that's a cool touch, but me personally, I'm not a big fan of the bottles. And the prices are also kind of high. I'm not going to get to the review for a while. I'm going to talk about prices and the fact that this is not released. It hasn't had an official release here in the States yet, but Scandal Pour Homme in the EDT is selling at discounters. Scandal Pour Homme in the EDP or the Le Parfum is not at the discounters, although I did find a few resources online, not really big discounters. You can find them there, and so you can buy them for about the same price that I paid for these in the UK. But I'm going to give you some euro prices. It is selling in the States. I'm sorry, it is selling in the EU, and the prices are for the EDT, a 50 ml for 79 euros, 100 ml for 104 euros. There is 150 ml for 131 euros, and then the 200 ml recharge is 137. And these are refillable bottles, and they, you know, you take the thing off like that and you fill them up. So that's kind of a cool thing. Are you guys into buying refills for your bottles, or would you rather replace the actual bottles? Because 150 ml is 131 euros, but 200 ml refill is 137. So I think that's a good price. And if they go on sale, like I got these prices from Sephora in France. If they go on sale, like sometimes they do have sales, 20% off, I think it's a great price. So in regards to the Le Parfum, as I said, I couldn't find a lot of discounted options for this. Most likely it'll come soon, but a 50 ml is 85, so only 6 euros more than the EDT. 100 ml is 129, and so 104 euros versus 129. So I don't know how the price jumped up like that from the EDT version and the Parfum version, or the EDP version. And then 150 ml is 151, so it's 20 euros more than the EDT version of Scandal. And then finally the recharge is 200 ml for 148, and it's 137 for the EDT, so there's not much difference with that there. So that's what the pricing is for these fragrances, and I don't get why these haven't launched here in the States yet. I'm not sure why they haven't. You know, I always go to Macy's to see a designer fragrance, and I can't find these there. I have been looking for a while, but as I said, these are at discounters. Somebody recently made a comment in my haul video and said that the EDT has had a launch here, but I can't find it at Macy's. And Macy's is basically where I check, as always, is Is it launched? It'll be there if it launches, and it hasn't. So I'm not the biggest fan of Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances as well, but I do like La Mel a lot, and I also like the Flanker Le Parfum version of that fragrance as well. I haven't really gotten into any of its flankers. The Fleur de Mal was a really great fragrance. I'm looking for a vintage bottle of that. But other than that, I haven't really bought any of the flankers of the La Mel series of fragrances. So those are the prices. Let's talk about the fragrances now. So in regards to the fragrances, I was testing these two fragrances out, and what I get from these two fragrances are not like big fragrances. Even the EDP or the Le Parfum, they don't have a big cloud, they don't have the big trail. They seem pretty close to my body when I compare them to a lot of other fragrances that I wear. So this is me comparing fragrances because I test a lot of fragrances. I read online, many people say these are beastly, or not many, a lot of people say last all day. I don't get that kind of a longevity. So most likely the people that say these last a long time are not like fragrance aficionados or wear fragrances all the time. So their nose is not really used up a lot. So you're gonna probably get better longevity. For me, I don't have a lot of great longevity with these. In fact, they're so close to the skin, they don't jump out at all. So I don't know how people are smelling these off of people when they say they get compliments and things like that. So if you're a fan of the Scandal series of fragrances for men from Jean Paul Gaultier, do you get compliments with these fragrances? Do let me know. So in Scandal EDT, we've got caramel, Clary Sage, Tonka Beans, and Vetiver. Those are the notes that are credited from the Jean Paul Gaultier website. I personally get some light sweet citruses, not lemon, not lime, not bergamot, something like an orange or a mandarin orange type thing, which kind of complements the caramel. Sweet citruses is what I get. I get a lot of creamy woods here. I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of a sandalwood because sandalwood is mentioned in the Le Parfum, but not here. Vetiver is only the woody note that's mentioned here. I do get creaminess, lots of creaminess as I said, but also I get something weirdly laundry-like here. Like imagine taking all these different caramel lozenges or whatever, dropping it into the laundry, putting in some laundry soap and washing it. So it's this caramel creaminess with a kind of like a laundry detergent smell together. So I'm assuming that's coming from the Clary Sage. These are the kind of notes that create this kind of a freshness and this cleanness. But I do get kind of a laundry-like effect with this particular fragrance when I'm wearing it. But for me, this is a caramel bomb. It's a caramelly fragrance, and this caramel has different characteristics. First of all, it's got some smokiness, but definitely lots of milkiness. That milkiness is here for sure. Of course, caramel is made with milk and sugar, so you've got this kind of like milky texture under the whole caramel flavor or smell in here. So light smokiness, creamy milkiness, and I like this fragrance in this particular moment when I'm experiencing the caramel, which also creates a very unisex offering. For me, this is very, very unisex. Caramel is not masculine whatsoever. A couple of things I read, oh my god, it's the most masculine fragrance. This fragrance is absolutely not masculine whatsoever. It's a very, very unisex offering. If you want masculine fragrances, look up some of the fragrances from the 70s and 80s. Those are really, really uber masculine fragrances with uber masculine notes. So this to me is a very, very unisex offering. Caramel, Tonka Beans, very, very unisex notes for me. Clary Sage, Vetiver, leaning masculine. So we've got a very, very unisex fragrance option here. So the other thing is, I won't say that yet. Let me talk about the Le Parfum first, and then I'll let you know my favorite of the two. Yeah, I think for me, it's a bit generic smelling, and it's got a kind of a DNA here that reminds me of a lot of other men's designer fragrances, but not so much here in the EDT as much as it is in the Le Parfum version. That gives you kind of a hint. For me, between the two, I'll let you know, is my favorite of the two is the EDT, just because I like that smell of caramel and I love gourmand fragrances, and this definitely has a gourmand edge to it, and I like it quite a bit here. I would actually say this particular fragrance would fall into that video I recently did of boring fragrances. It's not really an exciting fragrance for me. I've smelled so many caramel fragrances that are 100% much better than this particular fragrance. It has a boring edge to it, but I think if there's a person that doesn't wear fragrances over and over again and doesn't have the experience of finding niche offerings and things like that, I think it's a pretty solid release. But for me, as a connoisseur, it's quite boring to wear. And again, I'll say it, my favorite of the two is the EDT versus the Le Parfum. Now, on the other hand, the Le Parfum, and once again, it's not a parfum, it's an EDP, just like the Le Parfum, which I thought was a parfum concentration, turned out to be an EDP. I don't know why they do that, but it's a marketing thing, I guess. It's geranium, tonka beans, and sandalwood. So these are the only notes they credit here. And for me, if I said Scandal EDT smells generic, Scandal Le Parfum and EDP smells even more generic to me. It's very, very boring fragrance. Between the two, I much prefer the EDT because I like that sweet caramel. And even though both of these fragrances are very synthetic, they were synthetic, I much prefer the more kind of a realistic actual caramel smell that's in the EDT versus whatever kind of sweetness that's in here. For me, it does smell a little bit like Scandal EDT, which supposedly has caramel as a note, but they don't list the caramel in this particular fragrance. They list the tonka beans. So it has been intensified, but really it's not necessarily uber intense where I'm thinking something is like an overdose of intensity. That's not what it is. In fact, the two fragrances give me around the same time or length of performance, and it's very, very minimal. For me, 4.5 hours at the most is what I get with these two fragrances. So in the end, there's a little bit more smokiness here. It's definitely darker. Of course, like you can see, it's in the dark bottle versus the clear bottle. We already know that that's going to happen with all these. Let's see what they come up with next. Are they going to come up with an elixir? Will they continue this particular series? But I don't know. But there is definitely some light smokiness here. The milkiness, the carameliness is not necessarily very recognizable in comparison to the EDT. The Le Parfum is just some sweetness there, but very synthetic comes through. More synthetic here than in the actual EDT. So I don't like the Le Parfum whatsoever. It smells more cheap in comparison to the original, and then of course both of them do already smell pretty cheap to begin with. Those are my thoughts. I don't think these are going to be around for a long time. For me, I think the best fragrance for this brand is the original Lamel and that series. And sadly, I didn't really get into the whole series of fragrances. I have the original and I have the Le Parfum. And I still think the Le Parfum here, which is also created by the same perfumer, and I forgot to mention the Perfumers. It's Quentin Bisch, he created this, and I don't know if he created this with somebody else, but there's two other perfumers here. Natalie, Gracia-Cetto, and then Christophe, Reynaud. All three of them worked on one fragrance. And that's my other beef with perfumes that are created with multiple perfumers. I feel like too many ideas go in and create nothing really like outstanding. Sure, there are, you know, examples of them turning out to be great, but man, just give one perfumer one fragrance so they come up with something. Why bother with 3, 4, sometimes even 5 different perfumers go into the creation, and it doesn't turn out very good. So these are kind of disappointing for me. As a person that's a connoisseur of fragrances into a lot of niche fragrances, I'm so bored of these two fragrances, and I had to keep wearing them to test them out. But somebody that's new to the world of perfumes and fragrances definitely might like these. I would think my nephew might like these fragrances, although I've gotten him really into Creed and niche fragrances like Houbagant and things like that. So he probably will turn up his nose with these as well, because once he gets used to all that expensive stuff. But somebody like that doesn't really care too much about fragrances, wants to smell something fun and sweet and aromatic, might really dig these. The only other thing I want to say about these is it reminds me of the Paco Rabanne robot fragrance. What's the freaking name of that fragrance? Drawing a blank. It does remind me a little bit of the original, not the Parfum. The Parfum is so boring. I don't get it. I don't know why. It's not that exciting for me. I'm a Parfum guy and I like the idea of Parfum fragrances. This Parfum is so disappointing, like a lot of other Parfum fragrances that I reviewed for you guys recently. All were very, very disappointing. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see if they continue this series. Will it be anything special? But I think this particular series is not going to last too long. I don't think it has the lasting power or the legs. Just like Cocorico. I don't know if you guys remember Cocorico. What a great fragrance that was. I still have one bottle. Absolutely love it. And it didn't do well either. I think, again, this particular house is known for Le Male, and that's what it will be. Now, the only other thing I want to mention before I let you go is I definitely need to get my nose on the new Gaultier 2 that was brought back. Has anyone gotten their nose on that one? I can't find it anywhere. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on one when I go to Europe in March. If you guys have any idea of how to get a bottle, please do let me know. I'll be going back to Paris. I think I'll be in Germany, and then I'll also be in Italy. So if anybody has any info on how to get a bottle of Gaultier 2, please do let me know. I need to get a bottle. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Scandal EDT and Scandal EDP or Le Parfum. What are your thoughts on these two fragrances? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Do you want me to review more designer fragrances, or would you like me to just continue with the niche and less known brands? Let me know, put some comments down so I can find out, because it's not turning out to be great offerings. I mean, once in a while there's something that's good that comes along, but these two were disappointing, and they'll definitely go in the boring pile, and I will not reach for them. It's good to have them here for when clients come to do sniff sessions, but I think these are pretty good since they haven't officially launched, but sometimes these very mass fragrances, clients don't want to smell them because they already have access to them at Macy's and places like that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Let me know your thoughts on this fragrance, if you're a fan of it, and if you don't like it, I'd like to find out what you guys think of it. Either way, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.